Hello, Warrior TV. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. And welcome to the premiere episode of Empower You, hosted by myself, Steve Knapp, the Mindset Warrior, and our amazing newest addition to the Warrior family, Tessa, our Resilient Warrior. Welcome aboard, Tessa.
Thank you. Thank you. So excited. Looking forward to it.
So good to have you here. So basically what we're going to run through, we're going to be on every week, every Tuesday night. Good morning, Adam. Thanks for jumping on, mate. Yeah, we're going to be covering just a whole heap of topics that we found beneficial to improving our daily lives. We'll cover things that we've had to change as we've learned through our coaching and various other things that inhibit us, the way we think, our actions, the way we talk to ourselves. It'll just be a whole wide gamut of anything that we can think of that we think could be beneficial. We'll be on to discuss it and provide any tips and strategies and tools that have helped us along the way and we've learnt from all of our trainings. I reckon that sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And also because we've come across so many people who struggle with things, and it's so common. We thought we'd share it in a more empowering way. And hopefully you get to think about things differently and learn new strategies. And even if it's not new to you, maybe you can start implementing it a bit more. And that's what we want, I guess, from this show, right?
Definitely, because even if you've learnt it all, a little refresh or reminder here and there, we all have the propensity to slip off the wagon a little bit here and there. So just a little reminder every now and then never goes astray. And we've even got Adam and Kerry tuning in from a supermarket. I think that's the third time they've jumped on. The dedication from the mental health warrior and the Queen is just amazing.
Hey, guys.
So tonight we thought we'd kick off our first show with a bit of a discussion around beliefs and how they affect our lives. And a lot of them, a belief can be empowering. A belief can be a great thing that really sets you up and drives you forward, or it can be limiting and it can be like a weight around your neck. And it's basically whatever, it's something we tell ourselves that we see as a truth, whether it is or not. It could be a complete falsehood. Some like real basic examples of I'm not worthy enough for success. It's something that you've ingrained in yourself. You've either learned, generally we learn a lot of our beliefs at a very young age, and they'll either be something that's happened via experience, or it could be passed down through parents, friends, loved ones, where you can sort of attach on to beliefs that have been not forced on you, but you've heard enough that you take them on board. And some of them can be horrible. Like if you're single and you have the belief that you're not going to be able to find love, then that can even be a double-edged sword, because your belief might go even deeper than that, where you need to find love in yourself before you're even going to be able to be loved by someone else. So your beliefs can actually stack on top of each other and cause bigger problems than what they already are. I think how does that sound, Tessa? Was that about right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess our beliefs happen when we have experiences or we have events that happen in our lives, and then we create a meaning around that event. And what we need to, so tonight, I guess we're gonna cover more the limiting beliefs, or the beliefs that don't serve us. So if you've got great beliefs, good on you, keep moving forward with them. But I think the focus is going to be just on possibly the limiting beliefs and how they hold us back. And sometimes it's so unconscious. So I guess like when we have an event that happened, we give it a meaning, or we create a story around it. And if we're creating a great story around it, good, because then it empowers our lives, right? But when we create a negative story, it holds us back. And because these beliefs are created when we're under 10, when we're very young, we sometimes don't even know that we have those beliefs. Like you were saying, you're looking for love, but you don't know why you can't find it. But it's something in your unconscious or your subconscious that has been programmed in when you were very young, and you're doing something unconsciously. like our beliefs drive our behaviors and our decisions. And that's why it's so important for us to actually be aware of them and be aware of the ones we don't even know about.
Yeah, they're the tricky ones.
Like, absolutely, absolutely. Like, when you're a child, and we see it with kids, right? With our kids, they are like sponges when they are young. So they learn by just watching everyone, listening to everyone, and they just suck everything up, whether it's good or bad. So depending on the environment that those kids are in, or that we've grown up in, and it's not always that people intentionally want to harm us. No, I mean, it just happens what your parents were taught, and you learn that same negative or limiting behavior or belief, I guess, right? It's not always that people want to hurt you or want to teach you this wrong belief. No, we actually programmed ourselves with, well, we say programming because it's so unconscious. When you're under 10, you just, like I said, you're just sucking this up. So yeah, it goes into your unconscious and you don't even know why you have those beliefs. So we need to question them, challenge them.
Definitely, especially when you do a bit more understanding around your beliefs, you realize that they're actually affecting your experiences, and things are happening around you solely because you're expecting them to be that way. Like, if you always believe that when you go to this person's house for a party, something goes wrong, they act a certain way, this person comes and they do a certain thing, you've predetermined the outcome, and you're not going to enjoy yourself because you've put all these thoughts into your head before you go to that person's house of all the problems that are going to arise, where somebody else is walking to that party and goes, oh, every time I go there, I get to catch up with this person. It's really good. So you've attended the exact same event with two polar opposite outcomes because of how you've thought about the process before you enter. It's crazy.
So true and so interesting, right? You can even have that experience when you siblings growing up in the same house, but the way they process things, the way because we all have these filters that we have, and because of our beliefs and the way we see things, or what we were taught when we were little, or just made that situation or that event that happened mean, we can be at the same table having the same dinner, listening to the same conversation, and having such a different experience. I always find that so amazing, and one can be empowering and another can be just so limiting. And we're not even aware that that's what's happening, right?
No. And I suppose because we are so attuned to remember negative experiences, it's hard for a lot of people to live through empowering beliefs or even know what an empowering belief is, which does definitely flow into the above the line thinking, which we'll be tapping into a lot in next week's show. But it's so hard for people to look at things with rose-colored glasses rather than the negative, and find those empowering beliefs.
Yeah, and that's so true. And also, we have something called a negativity bias, which helped us thousands and thousands of years ago when we were running away from the saber-toothed tiger or the lion or whatever predator was out there. And so we were being protected and trying to be kept safe. So our brain will always look for the negative. So it will look, and it's not that it wants to create negativity in your life. No, it actually just wants to keep you safe, because that's what it did thousands of years ago. And so now when something happens, it will quickly sway to the negative, instead of moving to the positive. So we need to be so aware of that and catch ourselves when we find we're going into that negative spiral.
Yeah. And then it's really, once you do catch it, then it's finding that ability to switch it around and reframe that belief into the positive, isn't it? So that you're going to come out of it with a much better outlook than what you had previously.
Yeah, because It's so true, because when we're growing up, we have these core beliefs, and if they are positive, that's fantastic, as we said. But if they are negative, it's like when we talk about these core beliefs, it's how we see ourselves, how we see the world, and how we see people. So if we think people are a certain way, for example, rich people are selfish and greedy, or
Yeah.
people cannot be trusted, or they're manipulative and exploitive. If you then try and start a business and you've got this at the back of your head, and this is like an unconscious belief, maybe it's something you heard from parents or carers or at school, wherever you were, that rich people are selfish and greedy. So you working on your business, you want to be successful, you have all these things going for you, but at the back of your mind, that unconscious belief is there, it's under the surface. And the more you're pushing forward, the more this belief is saying, that's not true. Do you really want to be rich? Do you want to be seen as selfish? You can be seen as selfish and greedy. So we actually then end up working against ourselves, because, and it's so unconscious. Like, you think, why are things not working out for me? But you'll self-sabotage yourself in little ways that you're not even aware of, because of these really limiting and unconscious beliefs that you have. I find that so interesting, that sometimes, often we're working against what we say we want, what we're believing in. But if we don't dig deep and look at, what stories am I telling myself? What beliefs do I have? Where is that coming from? We will sabotage ourselves, and we won't be that successful entrepreneur. Even like the way we see ourselves, like, I'm not good enough, I'm fat, I'm ugly. And then you go on trying to lose weight, or trying to exercise, but in the back of your head, this belief is saying, but you're fat, you're ugly, or so how are you going to lose weight? You're not good enough to lose weight. You're not good enough to do this. And it's such an unconscious thing. And we tell ourselves these stories constantly.
Yeah.
And it's so important to look at that.
Yeah, and I love it. And I like your example before, that really does highlight the ripple effect that just one limiting belief can carry with it. So just that one simple thought of being rich is greedy and it's not right for you, it's going to turn you into this. It's not only has that stopped you, but it's ruined any chance of having a successful business. It's probably stopped you putting yourself out there to be successful. It just tacks on and on and on and on, and the domino knocks over another 10 dominoes, and that one belief's caused you problems.
Exactly. Same thing with, and look, I mean, we are saying that we get our beliefs from our parents and carers and society and media when we are very young. And we're not saying that, like, our parents or society or even peers, they did it intentionally. We all grow up knowing what we know, and we kind of carry on that tradition unless you become aware. Like, how often, Steve, I know you have kids, like, have you not stopped yourself, or you heard the voice in your head, oh my God, I sound just like my father, or I sound like my mother? So often, right? And when you were growing up, you said, I'm never going to be like them. But it's that unconscious programming.
Yeah, it's
and
ingrained.
It's ingrained. It's ingrained. And you have to stop yourself, because what we're doing is that we just keep carrying that forward, and we then teaching our kids these things. But my point was that we have to be kind, and we're not blaming them. We're just creating this awareness. We're making you, or wanting everyone to understand, I guess, where these beliefs come from. For example, I had a story in one of my coaching sessions where this woman said, when she remembers it so clearly, like when she was young, she was shopping with her her mom, and she must have been 5 or 6, and she was like, she wanted to help. She wanted to be so helpful, right? And she said, oh, she remembered her mom needed eggs. And so her 5-year-old, 6-year-old self went to grab the eggs off the shelf. And probably the way she took it, or maybe the lid wasn't closed properly, you know how easy it is for that egg lid to open up. And she dropped this dozen of eggs on the ground. And then what she remembers is all the adults in the aisle staring at her. And so they're looking at her with like, what are you doing? Like, you know, questioning and like almost like angry, like you're being naughty, you know, but her intention was to be helpful. And then her mom, so this is an event that happened. This is an experience that happened. So her mom says to her, can you just stop doing that and go and sit in the trolley? You are, you're not helping at all. You are just wasting my time, and now I have to clean up this mess. So this is what she heard coming from her mom. And her intention was to be helpful.
Yeah.
And she said, when we dug deeper, we could see how that stayed with her for years. And in her adult life, she used to tell herself the same thing, like, I make mistakes, I am not helpful. And then she overcompensates by trying to be so helpful to everyone, you know, trying to please everyone. And so the meaning we create from the events or experiences we have can either move us forward in a good way or it can hold us back. So she felt like she was always doubting herself, like she would want to do something, she would want to, but there's something holding her back because she wanted to be so perfect. She didn't want to make a mistake. She didn't want to break the eggs again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It makes so much sense.
And those are the things that happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we make these stories about them.
Yeah, and a lot of the time they're not good stories. They're horrible stories that you don't want to have. They give you nightmares.
Exactly. And often we don't know where it comes from. We think like, why do I doubt myself so much? Like, why don't I have the self-confidence that person has or that friend has? What's holding me back? You know, it's so important. So another thing, like when we have these beliefs, we take on this identity that I am not good enough, you know, or sometimes some people will be, I'm a shy guy. So what happens is you don't put yourself out there, you don't speak. So if you want to be in business and you have this identity that I'm a shy guy or a shy person, or someone said to you when you were growing up, hey Steve, you're so shy, you're such a shy person, and you take that on. Maybe you were just being quiet for that moment. You know, and these things can happen.
I think I was quite shy when I was younger, and I broke that belief and came out of the mold.
Yeah, and maybe in that moment you weren't really shy, because kids are generally not shy. Kids are like, they're so out there, they're so open, but they learn. Maybe they were told kids should be seen and not heard. How many times have we heard that? You know, so that makes you quiet. You don't talk.
I think I've used that one on my kids a couple of times.
I know you're unlearning that. Hey?
Only when it's absolutely necessary.
And they know it's a joke, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many things. Like the same thing, like we'll take on the identity of sometimes, because this is the beliefs we have. So if we're in a family of athletes and we're not an athlete, we're the musician or we're the student. So we'll take on that belief, and then it either empowers you if you're the athlete, yeah, everyone loves you and you just go for it, right? But what happens because that's your identity. I'm not a student, I'm this athlete. And what happens when you're an adult and you can no longer do the sport? I mean, people, that's who they see themselves as, this athlete, and then they need to change that way they view themselves, change the views, and that can be so hard.
Yeah, that's why so many professional sports people struggle so much at the end, because they've spent their entire life knowing that 4 days a week I'm training from this time to that time. I've got this routine. I've got this diet plan. I know I perform every weekend, and then they do that for 20 years, and then in one day it just goes gone, and they lose their entire identity, thought process, routine, patterns, and everything. And there's so many breakdowns because they just don't know what to do with themselves. It's a total loss.
Exactly. It is. And it's hard. And that's when you need to be able to dig deep and then, change that identity. Because if you have a flawed identity of yourself, even if it's just like I'm a flawed individual, the way you can see the world is going to be like that. Like your experiences is going to be like that. Like they're always out there to get me, or I can't do anything else but play soccer, or I am stupid. I can't learn anything. We have to have like flexible mindsets, not rigid mindsets. And that's part of, I guess, the beliefs that hold us back, because we just believe that we are this certain thing or this certain the certain way. And then even like when you find families where everyone in the family does like one thing, like we said, they all sports players, and then the one kid is a musician or artistic. What happens is if that is not encouraged and embraced in the family, that kid can grow up with this, I'm not good enough, I don't belong. I'm not the same as the family. And that's the identity and then they'll move forward in their lives feeling like they don't belong, they don't have a place. So it's so important how like we teach our kids about when they're growing up, that it's okay that they're different and that they'll be successful in their own right.
Without a doubt.
I'm sure you have some experiences from your netball, the way kids think and the way you have to, about being successful or playing,
We work on it a lot, like a lot with my team. I'll just cover off. Adam's got a couple of questions for us, so we'll cover off those, and then I'll come back to my netball.
Sure.
So what's he got here? Oh, I'll go with his last one first. Tessa, be honest, do you believe Steve looks younger with his new haircut? Adam's got a theory that I look younger after I shaved my head again and beard yesterday.
I don't even know how to answer
that. And he also wants to know, for both of us, growing up, what was our biggest belief? That's an interesting one. I reckon I had a lot of different beliefs growing up, and similar thing. I don't think many of them were good for me. I knew like because I carried a lot of weight in the sort of middle part of primary school years. So I believed that I couldn't. I put myself in a lot of took myself out of a lot of situations just because the belief was, well, I can't. I'm too big to be able to do that. I can't climb that fort. I can't do that. I can't do this. Yet no one likes the fat kid. There's another one. There's a great limiting belief. You're not going to have friends like that. But I think the most powerful one, if I can do a bit of a vulnerable share about when I first got into coaching, that I had to flip around. Because I'd come from a background of pretty severe depression and alcohol abuse. Then I decided I'm going to get into coaching, did all this personal development work, and I had that belief of, how the hell can you be a coach to people when you're a recovering depressed alcoholic? And then I did the polar flip of that into the absolute perfect reason for me to be a coach and help people is because I'm a recovering depressed person and alcoholic. So I'm the exact same person with the exact same past. One set of beliefs is driving me into stopping my dream, killing it cold, and not doing any more. And the other one, hence why I'm here, I chose that option of driving me forward and saying, no, you are the perfect person to do this because you've got the experience, you've got the understanding, you've got the empathy to work with people and help guide them through the same thing. So just two polar opposite changes in beliefs have made me go in 180-degree different direction.
And so powerful, so powerful. And for a moment there, you probably took that on as your identity, alcoholic and depression. And that's how the identity that we assume, it can affect our mental health. Like if you have a depressive disorder or a mood disorder, and it's like a depression, the way you think about yourself, the way you think about other people, and the way you think about the world, if you're thinking those negative thoughts all the time, it can just drag you down lower and lower and lower. Absolutely. So it's so important to have empowering beliefs about yourself, so that, because we all go down in a dip, right? All the time. Life is a life cycle. So it has its valleys and its lows, highs and its lows, right? But when you have empowering beliefs, it pulls you up. Yeah, you feel low for a bit. It pulls you back up. And I'm so glad that you said that because, and this is how our beliefs and identities, I guess, affect our mental health. It just pulls us lower because that's what we think about ourselves. And those thoughts then go round and round all the time. You know, for me, one of the biggest ones, and I still work on it, is like my dad comes from an old school thinking where you have to be in corporate, or like to have a stable job. Like you have to have a stable job and you have to work for someone. So venturing out into my coaching business and being an entrepreneur was so scary for me. It's really taken a lot of changing that story that I grew up with. Like you have to have a job. And you have to, and we'll get into the strategies later, and I'll tell you like the things I did to push against this, but you get sucked in often. So you have to be kind to yourself. You really have to understand that it's gonna happen, because don't forget, however old you are, 10, 15, 20, 40, 50, 60, you've had those beliefs for so long, and you have to be consistent working on it to get rid of it, to change the story. And we're going to talk about changing the story later, because we're going to then start changing the neural pathways, because like we said, the brain has that negativity bias, and it's going to give you evidence. It's going to show you proof why that belief that you have is true, right?
Over and over again.
Over and over again. It'll find you the proof that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think, well, going back to my netball girls, we've worked a whole lot on our belief system, and yeah, we sort of made a bit of a pact at the start of the year that there'd be no negativity talk at all. I said not just about us. I said I don't want to hear anyone say I can't play that position, I can't pass, I can't shoot. I said that doesn't exist. Can't doesn't happen for our team. We're just all can. And I said that involves opposition, umpires. I said everything's a respect game for us. And so we cemented that belief that we will always play with dignity and humility. And then just a whole heap of basic stuff of just empowering them on little wins. Another big belief is a win doesn't come from the scoreboard. That's my biggest belief in sport is if you set yourselves goals throughout the game and you tick those boxes, the scoreboard's entirely irrelevant because you don't know who you're coming up against. You could be coming up against a bunch of elite superstars and you're just not at that level. So the scoreboard's irrelevant. It's a massive belief for us. And it's amazing seeing these kids change. Like they're all 13, 14, 15-year-old girls and seeing them change through buying into these beliefs. And it took about 6 weeks, I think, to cement a lot of them in. But once they did, yeah, I don't have to pump them up for games when we go. Well, I probably will because we haven't played for a while when we come out of lockdown. But they bring the energy now because they've changed their mindset into what it means to turn up to training and to games, and there isn't a thought of having to win or having to perform a certain way or where they're going to play. That's all been eliminated through us working on our beliefs and setting them in stone in a really solid fashion that's easy for them to follow and easy for them to believe that is the case. And it's worked wonders. I loved it. It's one of my favorite things in coaching.
Yeah. And you're getting them so early, which is awesome because you are cementing, you laying the foundation. So even like if they have ups and downs later on, as we all do, hopefully that belief is cemented, and the fact that you strengthening those neural pathways every week or whenever you're training and playing, it's such a good thing. I mean, another thing like we see often in our coaching is people don't want to fail, right? They don't want to get things wrong. They don't want to make mistakes. It's such a big one. And often, you can lip service, I'm okay with failure. But if you've had an experience, and that's why it's so important to check your beliefs to see, is that true? Do I really believe that I'm okay with failure? Because often we can say it because now it's the new thing, it's the in thing, right? But think about it, like I had a guy who had an incident at school, and he was when we were coaching, he was like, no, Tess, I'm okay with failure. But I was listening to the words that he was saying and how he was saying things, and I kept on getting that he felt like he wasn't good enough. Like it kept on that unworthiness, and I was like he wanted everything to be so perfect, the perfectionist, the not getting things wrong. And then I said, let's dig deeper. Let's see where because I said, you still have this belief. I know you're working on it, but we have to go back to the story. We have to go back actually to where it happened. And he said, well, I don't know if this matters, but at school, I got something wrong one day in class. And this often happens, right?
Yeah.
And the class laughed. And
that's normally the color, isn't it?
Right? I don't think he knows what the teacher said, but the way he interpreted it, or the meaning he gave the event that happened, was that she berated him because he got it wrong.
Yeah.
If it happened or not happened, I mean, teachers have also grown because they understand now. But when we were coming up, we were growing up, easily teachers would say, "You bloody stupid.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing?" You
Yeah.
know, when we like now, that wouldn't come out of a teacher's mouth, I don't think, because they know how it impacts when you're that young. It stays with you. And so this guy was going through his life saying, I can't make any mistakes. I can't get anything wrong. I'm going to be found out. Like he made this mean. And so he wanted to be so perfect. But then he was also not taking like opportunities and chances, because if there was an opportunity for him to fail or not succeed, he wouldn't do it.
Yeah. So he's just playing small for his whole life.
Playing safe, playing small, because he never wanted people to laugh at him. He never wanted someone to tell him that he is stupid, he's not good enough. Like when we went back, he was like, wow. And I said, when we're young, we make these things up. You don't even know, was the teacher really that horrible? Did she say that? Maybe she didn't even say it. Maybe it's something or maybe she did say it, right? But we need to change that story.
Yeah.
And
It's just opinion, isn't it? It's only someone's opinion. If it's an external thing that's been told to you, that's another thing that isn't fact. That's someone else's belief and their perception being projected onto you. So it's your choice whether you take that on board as a belief for yourself, or you believe, well, they're entitled to their opinion. They can think what they like. It has no relevance or bearing on me moving forward. So you've always got options on how you take the feedback from somebody else.
Exactly. It's so true. And so like what we did is we started looking at his beliefs, and I said, just be curious about your beliefs. So this is the strategies that we use. I said, be curious.
Yeah,
Ask
always
yourself, is it true?
ask questions. Yeah.
Ask questions like, is that still valid? Do I still feel like that? Have I not proven in so many other ways that that's actually not true? So find your own evidence that that belief is really not true anymore, right?
It's crucial, isn't it?
So crucial. I mean, like say where question, where did that belief come from? Why do I feel like that? Yeah. And because you often hear the voice in your head as well. Like I was saying, I'll hear my mom's voice in my head or my dad saying something. So whose belief is that? Whose story is that? That's not yours. So these are some of the strategies. So question, be curious. Where did that belief come from? Is it really true? Have I not proven that I can make a mistake and no one laughed? Have I not proven that everyone makes mistakes, and we move on, we get over it, and we help each other out. We find ways to to change or to deal with that mistake.
Yeah. And that's the beauty, isn't it? Once we understand that it is just all a bunch of self-talk or someone else's voices coming at us, that really opens us up to the opportunity to make the changes and realign the belief to something much more powerful for us, that's working with us and together, not something that's going to hold us back over and over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely. And just look at this, at what's happening in your life and say, how is this serving me? Is it serving me? I'm saying that, okay, I believe entrepreneurs can make their own money. You don't have to work in corporate. But am I really believing it? Am I really so question that? whose voice am I? I'm hearing my dad's voice. That's not my voice. I don't really believe that, because I can see so many entrepreneurs doing very well, living well, enjoying their lives. There's so much evidence. So I need to go find that evidence to change this belief that I have.
Yeah, because you'll be able to, whatever way like you said at the start, whatever way you choose to believe something, you have the ability to find the evidence, whether you like it or not. You'll always be able to back up your belief. And it's the same with, I mean, it's the way social media's set up. Whatever you believe in, they're going to force feed you more and more and more of that. They're not going to give you all the stuff that they think you don't like. So your evidence for your belief is going to be rammed down your throat like never, ever in history before.
Exactly. You will find what you're looking for. It's like, what's the thing we learned? The RAS, right? In our brains, reticular activating system. I think that's what it's called. It's like if you're shopping for a car, a red BMW or black Land Rover, what happens? Your brain starts showing you all these cars. So you'll be seeing red BMWs everywhere or black Land Rovers everywhere. That's just the way our brains work. It wants to give us what we're looking for. And sometimes it gives us more negative evidence because it thinks that's what we know. That's what's kept you safe all this time. I'm going to keep giving you that because we want to stay safe. But the second thing we need to do is we need to choose who we want to be.
100%.
We need to choose. Like you take on that negative identity. You take on that positive identity. But sometimes we have identities like given to us, like the black sheep in the family or the athlete in the family or the divorced one, Sometimes those things can be like hurtful, but you can choose who you want to be. Also, like what they say, I heard such a good one about, say for instance, if you're doing a weight loss program, for example, you're doing just vegetarian for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right? That you're doing this weight loss program. And then on the other hand, you have a person who is a vegetarian. Which one is more powerful?
The
person who is
the actual belief,
exactly.
Otherwise, you're not timing your way through it.
Yeah, like they're it. They doing it. They living it. They acting it.
They're aligning to their values then too.
And then listen to your stories. Like, listen, what are you telling yourself? What are you telling yourself? How's it coming out when you speak to someone? What are you saying? How are you saying it? Like people say, oh, they want to be happy, right? But then their beliefs are, they are, all the good ones are taken. That one we hear often. All the good ones are taken. Or life's not fair. Life's not fair. I'm wronged. And this is going into that thinking that we're going to be talking about next week, the above the line and below the line thinking. But that kind of thinking, that kind of beliefs, how are you ever going to be happy if you're always the victim, if you're always the one being wronged, if you're always the one being cheated on? You're not going to attract the right person into your life because you're not even going to see that person. And that's what our beliefs do. They drive our behaviors and our decisions, whether consciously or unconsciously.
Yeah, and you've got to make the smarter choices, don't you? You've got to, when you find yourself in those thought patterns, you've got to actually use the conscious mind to go, hang on, no, I don't like that anymore. That I may have been that person before. I may have believed that, but that's not the reality. The reality is that I can do this. I don't have to be in this space. And then back it up with the evidence and just show yourself all the times when you've gone against that old belief and been successful, and just keep backing it up with more, and you'll find it. When you're looking for the evidence, you'll be able to break that belief, make it an empowering one, and back that up with evidence all over again. It's not easy, but it's also not difficult.
Exactly, spot on. And I think you just hit the nail on the head, because these beliefs are really unconscious, as we've determined. Often they are, right? So you need to do finding the evidence with a conscious brain, where you're not in stress, where you're not having that moment, I'm a failure, which is just on repeat at the back of your head, or the negative self-talk, which also happens from the negative beliefs we have. It's with a conscious brain that you have to say, hang on, but that doesn't always happen. I'm not always a failure. I don't fail at every single thing. And then start looking, like you said, for the evidence of how we can change. And then what I started doing with my story about my dad, I changed the story. So, like, the story was that to be successful in life, to have a good job, to live a good life, you had to work like in corporate or for someone, I changed it because I knew the corporate thing. And often it's not easy, because we don't immediately believe ourselves. Like when we're trying to change a belief, it's really hard. And so you can't make the belief so outlandish, or you can't make the story so outlandish, right? So I changed it, and I'm still working on it, but I say it every day. It's that I'm an entrepreneur, and corporate, yes, is supporting me because I'm working with them, not working for them. So I get business from them. Do you know what I mean? And so slowly, because I can see that happen, because I've got evidence and I've got proof. So slowly, I'm changing that belief, and I'm strengthening the neural pathway. So I'm changing the story. So my brain will start throwing that up and say, oh, try that corporate. Why don't you phone them, Tessa? If I'm driving somewhere, the opportunities will then come to you. Driving, I can call them, see if they need help, if they need business, if they need coaching for their team, going down so then I'm gathering more and more evidence. Same with the girl that had the egg story. We changed her story to when the eggs dropped on the ground, the adults in the aisle looked at her with compassion and looked at her with only, oh, you're a kid. Accidents happen. That happens. And her mom saying to her, so we completely changed her story, because it's quite believable. Because, her mom doesn't remember that story. Her mom is not a horrible person. Her mom is not an unkind person.
Reality.
Yeah, so she changed the story to her mom saying, oh, baby, thank you. I know you want to be helping me. Don't worry about the mess. We'll get someone to help us clean it up. So we started changing that story. So she started having more belief in herself. She's not doubting every single thing that she's doing. And that's how you do it. So find your story, find your negative story, and find a way that that it doesn't seem too far-fetched. You can't say tomorrow, like sometimes these affirmations are like so way out there, like your brain doesn't, like I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire. Your brain is not there. Your brain is saying, really? What, you're not doing the actions, so you've got to go step by step, baby steps. Make the story as close to as reality for you as possible. Start slowly, and that's how you change your story. Just change your story.
Yeah, if you've been sitting on the couch for 6 months and you want to start getting out for a walk, Make that the plan. Go, yep, I believe that every day I can go for a short walk. Don't go straight out the bat of being on the couch for 6 months into, by next week, I'm running marathons. Because you just set yourself up to have no possibility of making that a reality, and all you're going to do is enforce that limiting belief more and more. Whereas if you just say, for the next week, I'm going to get up in the morning and walk 1 kilometre a day, then you build on the belief. Then after you've done that for a couple of weeks, you go, I'm going to get up in the morning, I'm going to walk 3 kilometres a day. And because it's all doable and manageable because you're progressing slowly, you build that stronger belief. And then the ability for your subconscious to believe the next step up again is cemented in recent memory that you've already proven that you can do this. So then the 5Ks becomes 10, and then the 10's 15, then you're doing a half marathon, then maybe 6 months away, a year away, then you can have that belief, I'm running a marathon, because you've cemented it all along that you're able to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, spot on. And that's, I guess, the third thing that we were talking about is, which you've just showed the story, is like we want to embody our belief. So like, because you need to feel it, like embody it, speak it, tell people, get them to support you. But like Steve said, let's not make it so unrealistic where they're saying, oh my God, you are going to go run 5Ks and you've done nothing for the 6 months. And then you can't walk tomorrow and you're never going to, go again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, not good. Embody it, speak, say it, act your beliefs, how you feel, visualize it, see it happening. I'm going to go for that 1 kilometer around the block, and you can see yourself doing it, and then you actually doing it.
Yeah. Yep. It's very simplistic, and it doesn't take much for your mind to go, yeah, I can do this, and just totally change things around. It's not rocket science. It's just forming that belief and giving yourself constant little bouts of evidence that you are capable and you're able to operate on that scale, and you watch your life change before your eyes pretty quickly after you start doing that.
Yeah. And we're not saying it's easy. We're saying it's work in progress. But if you don't start now, you're not gonna...
The hardest part, I believe, is catching yourself in that limiting belief and finding that awareness. That is the hardest part of going, this is the thing that's holding me back. Once you actually identify that, the rest is quite easy. But catching yourself and going, why do I think that? Where did that come from? How is that actually serving me? That's the trickiest bit.
And you spot on, Steve. And I think that's why it needs to be a conscious thing. Take 5-10 minutes, and just sit down and write down what you think is holding you back. What are the stories you telling yourself? And like, what are your goals? Where do you want to go? And then you'll start seeing, but I'm believing this, I'm thinking this, these are my fears, and they're not even true. And then you start digging deep and you say, is it true? So that's the first thing you do. Be curious. Are those beliefs true? Are they beliefs or are they facts? The evidence is it true? Is it holding me back? And then choose what you want to believe. Choose who you want to be for the second time. And then you embody it, you visualize it, you act it, you speak about it, you speak up, you say it to yourself over and over, so that you start changing the neural pathways in your brain, so that this can be your new story.
And if you're telling other people at the same time, you've got that bit of accountability behind you as well, which helps enforce the belief, because you're like, okay, I've told people I'm going to do this. They're supporting me and saying, yes, I can. So there's evidence again. And just knowing in your own mind that you've sort of put it out there to people, it's a lot easier for you to reaffirm that positive belief, because you know that you've actually made people watch you now and see if you're actually going to follow through with it or not. So subconsciously your mind's going to be going, I've got to stick at this because I've put my new belief out there to the world. It's not just some hidden little secret that I'm going to pretend I'm working on, and if I fail, no one will know. It's a lot better if you actually put it out there because you're going to believe it.
and Steve, like we've always done, find the people who are going to support you. You don't need more negative Nellies in your life. Don't tell them. If you want this to succeed, really find the people that are going to support you, whether you fail 100 times or you succeed. They're going to be there. At least you're trying. They're going to be there to support you no matter what happens, to pick you up. Find those people. Then you know you have that support, that encouragement, someone who believes in you even when you don't, and because we all need help. Because we do have the days when we're not going to want to do this. We don't believe it. We're so tired. And just be kind to yourself. It's just start. Write down your limiting beliefs or what you think is holding you back, and then dig deep and see, is it not? How can I change it? And do that. And and tell people what you're doing that you know are going to support you, and say, yeah, go for it. Let me know how that works out. I'm quite curious about that process. And then you do it together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I reckon that's a great piece of advice to round off a bit of a belief chat. I think that was perfect. And yeah, like we said before, guys, tune in next week for us to be digging a bit deeper into above the line and below the line thinking, and the cause and effect equation, a bit more around how our decisions impact on our life and how our thoughts and words and actions are going to make things either really good or really bad. There's not a lot in between. So that'll be pretty cool. And we've got, later on tonight, we have another one of our warrior friends, Dale Walsh, with the premiere of his show, Straight, Sane and Sober. That'll be great. I was going to be looking forward to that, but that's 5 a.m. our time tomorrow morning, and I've got to go head off to work, unfortunately. And then, and the rest of the week, catch the replay later. And we have got stuff on all week. Adam and I will have an interview tomorrow. I believe it'll be 8:30 a.m. UK time. Adam will tell me. 8:30 a.m. or is it 9:30? And then I'll be on for the power hour of mindfulness almost straight after that at 11 a.m. Yeah, 11 a.m. UK time. So I think it'll be 9:30 a.m. we'll be on tomorrow. And then the rest of the week just keeps rolling. We'll have something on every single day. Oh,
and
Adam
jump on. Leave us questions. Sorry, Steve.
Adam said he'll jump on with us next week if we like. There we go.
Yeah, we'd love that.
That would be great. And like Tessa just said, anyone watching the replay, feel free to drop any questions in the comments here, and that's something we're always going to be happy to address the following show, or if we can line that up with something else that we have coming forward, we'll definitely be willing to answer any questions that come up along the way.
Yeah, and if you're stuck on a belief that you don't know how to change the story, maybe we can help you, We're happy to for people to jump on with us, and we try and change it then and there, even if we have to just chat about it quickly in our next segment. Yeah.
Perfect. I love it.
Steve.
No, thank you, Tessa, and thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, Adam. It is 9:30 a.m. tomorrow UK time, so that will be 6:30 p.m. our time. We will be on again. So everybody, thank you so much. Hope you have an amazing day, night, sleep, wherever you are in the world. And anyone watching on the replay, feel free to drop some comments and we will revisit them on our next show. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tessa. Bye,
Cheers.
everyone.
Bye.